very good Thursday evening to you. And another edition of the Brent Key Coaches Show. Did you like what you saw last Saturday? I think you did, yeah. So, follow up. What do you say we do it all again this Saturday? That sound like a plan? Georgia Tech 3-0 and back in the national rankings, and they are back at Bobby Dodd Stadium at Hyundai Field to close out the homestand this Saturday as they take on the Temple Owls. 4:30 Tomeist leather on the heels of a dramatic last-second walk-off win over number 12 Clemson. We will, like we said, do it all over again on Saturday with you in Atlanta, and we will talk about that matchup and so much more over the next 60 minutes on a brand new edition of the Brent Key Coaches Show, driven by Hyundai. My name is Andy Demetra. We are once again live from New Round Brewing on the east side belt line of Atlanta. Great turnout here on the rooftop. You guys understood the assignment. We are packed up in white and gold, ready to talk Georgia Tech football with the man to my left. And let's welcome him in now, head coach of your number 18 Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, Brent Key. Brent, good to see you again. How are you?
How tall do you think that building's going to go that they're building over there? How much taller?
That is a good question. Now, why do you ask that?
I was looking at it and curious.
Okay.
I don't know. It's the Georgia Tech in me.
Yeah. The engineer in you?
Well, I mean, I drive by every morning. I'm like, how many more floors are they going to keep going?
Keep on going higher and higher?
And it's not necessarily going to be the highest building because it's on a high piece of land right there. I don't know if it's West or Peachtree, but I'm just curious about it.
Just going higher and higher, like your team in the rankings.
There you go.
I like that.
Well, I don't know about rankings, but
that's called a segue, Brent. 3-0, 24-21, the win over number 12 Clemson. Tech's first win over the Tigers since 2014. Good to the very last second, and a school record-tying 55-yard field goal from Aiden Burr. Now, let's turn the page, though, Brent, because I know coaches are just as interested in seeing how their teams handle success is how they handle setbacks. So what was the message you delivered to your guys to set the tone for practice this week? How have they handled that? You said today that your Thursday practice was as good as you've had all season.
Yeah, it's something we started off with earlier, really this whole year, is you have to handle success and failure the exact same way. You do. And I tell the team on Sundays, like, imagine if we missed the field goal. Flip the score upside down. I mean, we're a one-score team, a one-score game team. So you have to look at it objectively and say, right, if that field goal didn't go in and then they kicked one or they scored, whatever, all right, what did we not do well? What do we have to improve on? All right, what are we doing well that we have to continue to do well? And there really can't be any difference in the two. All right, so on Sunday, by the time we get back into the building, it's been 24 hours at that point, and whether we win or lose, there's zero difference in how we go about Sundays. Now, personally, yeah, I understand that there's a difference now. Okay, there's a lot of external distractions going on, which I call distractions. I mean, they're good things. Look, and believe me, I wouldn't trade it for the world. You want to be in this position to be able to have people talking about your team and your players and your coaches, but at the same time, we have to understand that our goal this season was not to win Game 3. Our goal this season was not to win Game 5, wanting to win Game 8. Right? Our goals are so much bigger than that. Right? Our expectations internally are so much bigger than anything anybody can say on the outside. So every week is just another obstacle in our way to reach our goal.
Well, you continue to grow those goals with each win, which you did on Saturday. Coaches all experience kind of sensory deprivation on game day. You're so laser focused on the sidelines that you almost drown everything out. But I do have to ask, the crowd, in a game that featured so many momentum swings and so many inflection points, particularly in that second half, what did that crowd mean to your team Saturday, the way they helped will your guys to that outcome?
Yeah, so I actually looked up in the stands a couple of times. I did, and I looked out, and I was blown away. I was amazed. It was, and there's been, golly, I need to sit down and count one day how many games that I've been a part of in Bobby Dodd Stadium, and it was the coolest scene I've ever seen. To see so many students there, so many fans. And look, that's something, and I can say this now, y'all, because I am a Georgia Tech fan, all right? I'm a Georgia Tech graduate. I can say this. We all have to do better. We all have to do better, right? These kids bust their absolute tails all right, to go out and put a product on that field, as well as doing everything else, all right, going to class, being held accountable for everything they do academically, being held accountable for what they do socially. And then they're not all perfect, but they do a great job of trying to make the Georgia Tech family happy. Right? And that's everybody out there. And we need to support these kids. We do. We need to support them. We need to show up. And I speak every week. I talk about how there's zero difference in the opponent we play. Right? Every game is a big game. Well, we need to feel that same way as fans. Right? We need to show up and show out and support our players regardless of what went on the week before.
The reason I could barely talk on Sunday was because I was having to shout over that din, no question, calling that final field goal from Aiden Burr. Take us through your perspective of those final 2 plays. Not only the fire drill field goal, but Haynes King's run before that. What you said during that timeout, what you were hearing in your headset, and what you saw as that final fire drill play unfolded. Everybody's got their own personal recollection of that final sequence. I want to hear yours.
It's not fire drill. It's Toro.
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 Like Toro, like the bull?
I don't know what a bull is. I know what a bull is, but I don't know what a Toro. I mean, it's Toro.
Yeah, that'd be Spanish for bull.
Is it really?
Yeah. I majored in Spanish Lit in college. I would hope I know what Toro means.
Well, you didn't know that it's a fast field goal.
Okay, well, now I know it's a Toro.
Ask Coach Saban. So everyone thinks there's like this climactic moment that takes place when you're on the sideline. No, it's there was about 40 seconds on the clock. Had 1 timeout left, and chose to use the timeout then. And look, we practiced all week the Toro field goal situation. We practiced it every week, but we actually had to put a little more emphasis on it the last week. And there's 40 seconds. I mean, that's an eternity. But we were on around the 41-yard line, and on my sheet that I write down after pregame, right, when you see how they're kicking with the wind, and we chose to take the wind was only about 5 miles an hour, but the word gust up to about 12, 13 miles an hour in the game, and we chose to take the wind in the second and the fourth, and that way we could be able to kick with it and if we needed it. But we were on the 41-yard line, and on my sheet I wrote the 40. I wrote the 40-yard line, and I wanted it to be in the middle of the field. All right, not a chance of it being on the hash or whatnot. And to call a play that is a safe play, secure play, where we could get the ball where we want it. Now, look, here's the thing. In a normal situation, the way that play was defended, Haynes would have broke that out to the left, and he might have scored again. He might have scored again if he had broke it out to the left because they committed so many people to the box. But he understood the situation. He understood the number 1 priority was to take care of the football. Number 2 was to get positive yards. All right. Then after that, it becomes the situation of the Toro. All right. You don't toss the ball to the official. You hand it to him. I mean, everything in that regard. So in that timeout, we went through both situations. All right. Both scenarios. Hey, we're going to, if you get a first down, obviously the clock's going to pause. You have a chance to, clock it, blah, blah. All right. You don't get the first. Toro's ready to go. The field goal unit's ready to go. So we just explained that. Told them they're ready. I said, no panic. Let's be ready to execute what we do all the time. And I mean, they looked up. The guys on the field were like, "All right, y'all come on," and they jogged off. And in between the plays, I did go over and tell everybody to back up. If y'all notice, every one on the team backed up except for the other guys that were on field goal. And, I mean, it's something we do all the time, so it's not a surprise.
Executed it to perfection. Aiden told me today he was banging 60-yarders in that direction during warm-ups.
He was, but that's warm-ups.
Yeah,
that's
true.
That's not coming off the sideline to win a game versus number 12 team in the country.
But he showed no nerves and etches his name in school history.
I have seen a guy to win the national championship get stuck in the net, and we looked out there, and there was 10 guys on the field. And we had to call timeout because there was only 10 on the field. The kicker was still in the net practicing. And then, of course, he missed the field goal. But we had to go to overtime in that game. But anything can happen in football. But I have so much confidence in Aiden. He is a football player. People want to put specialists in this category. He is a football player. And I had so much confidence in him.
And to no one's surprise, Aiden Burr was ACC Specialist of the Week. Joined 3 others who have kicked a 55-yard field goal in Tech history. The late, great E.O. Wheeler in 1973 versus VMI. Ron Rice, 82 versus the Citadel. David Bell, 86 versus Georgia. However, you said that maybe Aiden deserves a bit of an asterisk that puts him a little bit above those other three because he did it under different conditions and rules as those other three kickers in Tech history.
And I did not know that until one of my former teammates, David Frakes, made me very much aware of that. Frakes, hits me up on actually it was Monday morning. He knows there was a ton of people on Saturday or whatnot. So on Sunday, Frakes, who is extremely high up at Apple, like very, very high up at Apple, runs the AI division now, and he said that it's not technically other people's record because they changed the rules. They don't use T's now. The goalposts are more narrow, so it was actually his record that was broken. Which, by the way, the first name you said, we talked about that last year.
E.O. Wheeler, yeah.
Yeah, you did a special on him, like a feature on him last year.
I
right?
did, yeah.
Yeah,
because he was the first person who ever kicked a 55-yarder.
You go over the bench like smoke cigarettes or whatever.
No, he was asleep on the bench.
Same thing.
Right before the kick, his holder, Joby Leahy, had to wake him up. And that was an urban legend for years and years that E.O. denied until the very end of his life. But I talked with Joby, and he said, no, he was definitely asleep because I was the one who had to wake him up. So Aiden Burr, he didn't have to be jostled from a daydream before coming out for the 55-yarder, but given the circumstances, that was impressive in its own right, and one certainly Georgia Tech fans will remember. 24-21 caps off that win over number 12 Clemson, and as a result elevates Georgia Tech to number 18 in the AP poll. We'll see you back at Bobby Dodd Stadium at Hyundai Field Saturday versus Temple. Tome East Leather at 4:30. We got to hit our first time out. Much more to get to with head coach Brent Key. It is the Brent Key Coaches Show, driven by Hyundai on the Georgia Tech Sports Network. Gorgeous night. Great crowd as well here on the rooftop of New Realm Brewing on the east side.
Awesome
Belmont of
crowd.
Atlanta. Awesome crowd. Just like Saturday, and we'll have another great one this weekend for Georgia Tech and the Temple Owls. First time ever Georgia Tech welcoming in Temple to Bobby Dodd Stadium at Hyundai Field. Tome East Leather, 4:30. Our network airtime on the Georgia Tech Sports Network at 2:30. By the way, I got to shout out one of our great fans here, Bo, who got you to autograph a really cool piece of memorabilia before we came on the air.
1998 media guide.
How about that?
Key with hair.
Looked good.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
Bald's the way to go.
You think so?
Well, I got no choice.
Genetics made that decision for you?
Yeah.
And it's funny, though. You were going game by game on the schedule on the back of that media guide, and you could recount something that happened either to you or to the team in every single one of those games.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's funny you said that because actually I told the team today. I was talking to them about what they are in the process of building, right, and what they've done up until this point. But I was also talking to them about how fragile it is, right, and I know that because, I've had that history. I've been there, done that. I've been on teams that, understood that and protected it, and kept playing. And I've been on teams where it didn't, and those haunt you. The ones where you don't, it haunts you. And man, I still remember to this day so vividly going to Wake Forest in 1999 and playing up there. And they had 5 wins. They needed one more for bowl eligibility. Jim Caldwell was the head coach, and if we'd won that game, our quarterback probably wins the Heisman Trophy. And we're in the BCS game, and we stumbled and didn't. I remember. My gosh, it was 2016 and came down to the absolute last play of the football season. We lost the national championship based on it. So, those moments haunt you. And you take those experiences and try to feed them to the players so that they keep the right mindset and moving forward.
Now, somebody who definitely was in the right mindset from the opening kickoff on Saturday was their safety, Omar Daniels. He earned ACC Defensive Back of the Week, also Lott Trophy Impact Player of the Week, which honors the nation's top defensive back. He gave you 7 tackles, forced the fumble on Clemson's opening possession, then that interception as Clemson was inside your 10 on the opening drive of the third quarter. And let's focus in on that play because it took a lot of instincts and athleticism for Omar to make that pick, but it was also a reflection of the preparation throughout the week that allowed him to get that interception. Your first pick of the season. Walk us through that play, Omar's role in it, and what he was able to do so well to jump up and snag that slant.
Well, that was a huge part of the game plan. even in normal downs in the open field, a big part of the plan was we played a it wasn't the whole game by any means, but we mixed in a 3-high safety look where we would roll Jai Gilmore back, who plays the nickel. We'd roll him back and either take the field or the boundary safety, depending on what side, and roll him down and play like a middle robber, almost replacing the Mike linebacker type deal. And the whole point was to get into those RPO windows and lanes. Right. Well, once you get down to the inside the 5-yard line, 10-yard line, 15, you don't have the room to play that defense. But we're very hyper aware of the RPOs and where they are. So, Omar came down, he settled his feet, waited on the mesh, and as soon as he pulled it, he was right in the throwing lane.
I mean, those were some strong hands though, because that was a missile.
Yeah.
Coming from close range, and was able to take that. And he said, I'm not one who normally cramps, but kind of the cramps got a hold of me on that run back. I know he was hoping he could take it for a house call, but definitely helped swing that momentum.
Did you see a Montre Bradford on that interception go from the far side defensive end? And he probably passed 6, 7, 8 people on the way down the field to pull up even with Omar.
I did not.
Wow.
That's those hustle plays that you see when grading out the film.
It's those small things that I'm so proud of this team about. But we've got to continue that.
Omar, ACC Defensive Back of the Week. Haynes King, ACC Quarterback of the Week. Another shocker as he gave you 103 rushing yards, 36 of Tech's final 38 yards on that game-winning drive came on the either the arm or the legs of Haynes King. And, defenses are continuing to key on him, maybe trying to take away that running game, yet he still finds ways to be effective. Why is that? What makes him such a savvy operator of Buster's offense?
Why does he got to be Busters?
And your offense.
I'm not talking about me. No, it's the offensive staff has done a great job of putting our plan together each week. All right, so first off, I want to say this about Haynes. The lead question from everybody is always about the way he runs. But understand this, Haynes King was 20 of 28 in that football game for 216 yards. All right, he was, his QB rating was higher than, and there's other teams that Clemson had played who are, very talked about quarterbacks, and he blew all of them out of the water with the way he threw the football. Right, the bonus is the way he runs the ball. Right, he's been as efficient of a quarterback throwing the ball for the last 2 years as anybody in the country, and that's the thing that gets overlooked with him. Look, there's some game he can sit back. He says it all the time in press conference. Whether he's handing the ball off, whether he's throwing the football, whether he's running himself, he's going to do what it takes to win the football game. Right? But I think that's a very underappreciated part about him, and people don't look at as much because of the running game. But everything's not. They're all not designed runs. They're read plays, and people just choose to let the quarterback run the football as opposed to the running back, and he takes advantage of it. But you got to have a unique mindset and a unique skill set. But like the way he's wired, it's just different. He is built different.
I thought two of the biggest, maybe lesser talked about plays from Saturday were in that final drive. It was a 2nd and 9 and then maybe a 2nd and 10, and he fires a couple of darts, a slant and then an out for 9 yards. You go from 2nd and long to 3rd and 1. You would have been able to move that ball into Clemson territory were it not for some of those Haynes King throws. You're behind schedule after first down, and Haynes knew exactly where to place the ball.
Yeah, he's really taken that part of his game to another level. And look, I don't know. He might throw the ball 45 times, 65 times. I don't know that. He's capable of doing whatever we ask him, but there's something about what we call winning the surest way. Right, keeping that ball, keeping possession of the ball obviously is the number one thing. And at the end of the day, whether you win by 1 point or 100 points, it doesn't matter. It's still a W on the column, and that's our objective every week is to put a plan together and then be able to execute that plan.
You don't go broke making a profit.
I love it.
Thank you. That's a little callback there.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been paying attention to some of your phrases over the years.
Good job, Andy. That was
Thank
really
you very
good.
much.
Just don't stump me on the big word.
Well, we got 3 more segments to go, so I got to keep you on your toes. We want to get more into the defenses today, but before we hit our break, Keelan Rutledge, ACC Offensive Lineman of the Week. I think everybody saw him with that bloodstained jersey, and let the record show that is the only time where the color red is ever acceptable at Bobby Dodd Stadium at Hyundai Field.
It's not red.
It is what color? Plasma colored?
No, it's a shade of crimson.
Crimson? Okay. Donning the proverbial crimson mask, as it were.
There's no red.
I like that, duly noted.
I see no red in the crowd.
You know what? I appreciate that. That's a synonym that I can get behind. But the job that he did versus the guy who is almost universally projected as a first-round pick in the D tackle for Clemson, Peter Woods. I mean, he was just blue-collar for all 60 minutes, and it's easy to lose sight of that. But he had a big task on his hand. He delivered, though.
Yeah. I believe – how many tackles did he end up with? 1.5?
Just 2, I think.
2, yeah. Well, the one solo he had was on the last play of the game, and we ran a counter guard pull play, and he played over the top, and tough ass to block. But Keelan did an unbelievable job of neutralizing him, and just the way he plays. I mean, to turn on the game on Saturday nights, Sunday mornings, and just to watch the way that he plays the game. I mean, it's different. It is different. But he practices that way, prepares that way. So there's no secret on how you do those things. It's how you prepare. And he's the ultimate competitor. He's the crown jewel when you look at the way that you prepare each week for a game. And it's just great to see him back out there full speed this year.
Yeah. Got married as well in the summer?
He did.
It's good to know marriage has not softened his edge, though.
No. Not at all.
How many years have you been married?
Me?
Yeah.
11.
Just imagine how he'll be lining up at guard after 11 years of marriage.
And he still will be.
Oh, yeah.
I think he'll kick over one spot.
Okay, you think so?
No, he'll kick over. I think Keelan will play 12, 14 years in the NFL as a center.
He's putting a lot of good highlights on tape, of course, wearing the right colors in doing so. And you'll see him on Saturday as the Yellow Jackets take on the Temple Owls. We'll continue the conversation with head coach Brent Key live tonight from New Realm Brewing on the east side Beltline of Atlanta. Y'all having some fun tonight? I hope you are. It's the Brent Key Coaches Show, driven by Hyundai and the Georgia Tech Sports Network. Well, such an electric atmosphere that you guys all made Bobby Dodd Stadium at Hyundai Field last Saturday for the whiteout. It led to the win over number 12 Clemson. Let's say we replicate that raucousness this Saturday again. Third straight home game for your Yellow Jackets. They take on the 2-1 Temple Owls. 4:30. Home East Leather. We'll have the coverage for you on the Georgia Tech Sports Network. He's Brent Key. I'm Andy Demetra. We are live from New Realm Brewing on the east side Beltline of Atlanta. Another edition of the Brent Key Coaches Show, driven by Hyundai. Coach, your receiving core on Saturday was led by Isaiah Canyon. This is back-to-back games that Isaiah has hit a career high in not only receptions but receiving yards. You know, he's a big target, 6'4", athletic, but those two things don't always guarantee that you'll get open. Like how has he refined himself to become a receiver and is translating into his production?
It's like that building.
It is, yeah. He's
so
the size of that building.
That will be the tallest building in Atlanta.
Will it now? How many stories?
All right. Well, I ain't gotten that far yet. 60 stories.
Okay, I like that.
60 stories will be the tallest building in Atlanta. That's
we need to hang a Georgia Tech flag, I think, from that 60th story.
Or just put like white and gold LEDs all the way up and down.
We can talk to some architects. They can make that happen.
Yeah. So Isaiah, it's so good to see him get into production now. Right? He came. He was committed to Notre Dame out of high school. And it's a funny recruiting story with Isaiah because he comes in, we're recruiting him, comes in, great mom, and hard on him, like reminded me so much of my mom. And we end up flipping him. So I go down to do the home visit, and it was back when you could still go out in December. And we go in the house, and dadgum, the entire family, and Grandma was the key. Grandma was the biggest Georgia Tech fan, right? His uncle went to school at the same time I did. He's in the military now. He used to work at Buckhead Saloon. I've known him forever. And I was like, Isaiah, why in the world did you not tell me how big a Georgia Tech fans? And he just smiled at me, didn't say a word. I'm like, it's one of those things, you recruit the crap out of somebody so hard, and they were Georgia Tech through and through the whole time. So it was pretty cool to go in there and see how his family loves this place, and his grandmother, how much she loved the place. And such a great kid. And he had shoulder surgery coming out of high school, Then had a couple things here, another thing. He was just nagging things on and on. To see him be full force now, I mean, talk about a guy that's 6'4", 215 pounds, playing receiver, runs the way he does. And it's not just the catch, it's the yards after. And it's the dirty stuff that people don't see that he does unbelievable job at, of just the blocking and the being able to sustain blocks. And so I'm glad to see him get his due now.
He played quarterback earlier in his career at Warner Robins High.
Yes, he did.
Did he try to lobby to be the one who threw that touchdown, or not the touchdown, but the two-point conversion? What I think everybody is mistakenly calling the Philly special. It's not quite like the Philly special in the Super Bowl, but ultimately it went to Malik.
Yeah, no, our guys are so unselfish. To see those guys out there, who catches the screen pass, who catches the deep ball, who blocks for the other one. It's really cool to see how those guys go out there, and they are all about the team. Of course, everybody wants their individual accolades and their individual success and touches, but they all understand that comes through the team winning.
Malik's career passer rating is going to look like Graham Knowles at this rate.
It's pretty cool.
I did catch up with Malik after the game. He said, I played quarterback. I said, when? Optimist Club.
Optimist.
Yeah, I mean,
wow.
I guess it counts.
So Malik thrives in those environments post-game.
Oh, in the field storming? Oh, yeah.
I mean, if somebody sends me 5 pictures, there's 2 of them of Malik standing up on the crowd surfing, in the stands. It doesn't matter. Malik is going to be everywhere. After the interview, after the game, I'm like, get me off this thing. Like, get me out of this. This race car ain't for me now. Like, been there, done that. Just get me out. And it was awesome to see everybody enjoy it so much.
Malik is not claustrophobic. He's a man of the people.
No, he's kind of small. He can kind of dip and dodge and weave in between people, just like he runs screen passes.
I think the other thing you really liked about Isaiah Canyon, he also was a long snapper in high school.
What?
You didn't know that?
I didn't.
Yeah, he told me after practice on Wednesday.
Wow.
He could be your backup long snapper.
Well, you could be his confidant.
Apparently so. Can you imagine a 6'4" guy trying to long snap?
Well, like the backup long snapper, Andre Fuller. Andre is a really
I did
good
hear
snapper.
that, yeah.
So.
How about you versus Isaiah Canyon? Long snapping competition. We established this on the show last week. You're very proud of your long snapping skills.
That I still can, yes.
You versus Isaiah. We'll put it on pay-per-view.
Put me versus anybody.
Okay.
Long snapping.
I think the gauntlet has been thrown.
Now, I cannot throw a football regular, but I can whip it over my head.
That's a different skill set. Yeah,
big man skill set.
You won't have to worry about your QB rating. That Clemson game also saw the return of 3 of your defensive players who were injured to begin the year. Rodney Shelley, Ronald Triplett, A.J. Hoffler got his first reps at defensive end. How can those 3 guys help fortify your defense?
Yeah, I mean, more bodies, more capable bodies. We've talked about it, so much, just increasing the depth on the football team, so that when football is a collision sport, and people are going to get banged up, people are going to get hurt, and to have guys that can come in and be capable backups that end up assuming starting positions and playing a lot of valuable time, that's important. So to get those guys back healthy and looking to get more guys back healthy, moving forward.
I think that might have gone unnoticed in the beginning of this season. Those were 3 guys that you were counting on in their rotations of their respective position groups. So the Georgia Tech defense continuing to get deeper and deeper. I know staffs don't tell the whole story. Didn't have a sack or TFL versus Clemson, yet you said that you thought the defensive line had its best game of the year versus Clemson. Why do you think that?
I don't understand. People think that the sack, look, I wish we had 10 sacks a game, right, in TFLs. But that is such a, I don't even know the right word. I mean, it's an over talked about thing when it comes to defensive line play. Number 1 priority is to stop the run, right? Number 2 is to affect the quarterback, right, when in given passing situations. And whether that you can't let a quarterback escape, you can't let him scramble, right? And a lot of times when you have a quarterback that's mobile like him, right, the game plan isn't to play on edges and try to get the sack, because all of a sudden you avoid a B gap and that guy's taking off for 12, 15 yards in a first down. And we want to eliminate that as much as possible. So yeah, we've got guys that are inside interior wise. There's certain calls where they're bull rushing, mush rushing as we call it, and they're trying to keep the guy in the pocket, contain him in the pocket. But the way they played the run, the way this is urgency they played with. We play a lot of guys up front, and to get those guys subbing in and out and playing all about the same amount. They did a really good job. Look, they do the dirty work. Their job is to free up the linebackers and the safeties to be able to make those tackles, and they did a good job. And look, we're nowhere near where we want to be, not even close. All right, we got to continue to improve that. We got to continue to play getting off the blocks. We got to continue to improve our pass rush. All right, improve the ability to get negative plays off schedule. Force the offense to be in off schedule plays, but the number one predictor in wins and losses in college football nowadays is explosives. It's the number one thing. It's not even close, right? And we've limited the amount of explosives, knock on wood, that we've given up this year by a long shot, man. I mean, by a lot. Right? That is the number one thing when it comes to winning and losing college football games. So when I was putting this together back in January and I was looking at coordinators after Tooch left, that was the number one thing, to play defense where, we're going to eliminate or, work to eliminate explosive plays.
Limiting explosive plays, also limiting mistakes, and you certainly accomplished that versus Clemson. We know turnovers were an issue in the first two games. You finished with a +2 turnover margin against Clemson. And for context, the Tigers had 15 straight games where they finished either tied or with a positive turnover margin. It was their longest streak in program history in 35 years. You finished +2. And then you wanted to clean up penalties. You accomplished that, only 3 for a combined 16 yards. Not perfect, but where did you see that jump in discipline in those two areas on Saturday?
The first two games were so uncharacteristic of us. And it was not something, when you look at the turnovers, 5 in 2 games on the first 5 drives. That's crazy we're even able to stay in those games. But none of them really were connected to each other. It wasn't like it was one issue that was happening. It was 2 different quarterbacks. There was all these things. But I can sit here and tell you all the different reasons why they happened, but they're nothing more than excuses. We got to fix it. And, we did. We played with more poise. And the penalties are something that we not just stress, but we coach, we discipline afterwards. And I thought they did a good job. Now, like you said, though, it's not a finished product. It's nowhere close to perfection, and that's something we strive to get every game is play a perfect game.
One other defensive player that we want to salute before we hit a break, E.J. Lightsey had a career high in tackles for you. Gave you a dozen. Clayton Powell-Lee also had 11 tackles. First time Georgia Tech has had a pair of double-digit tacklers in the same game since Charlie Thomas, A. Seeley a couple of years ago. E.J. Lightsey, how did he leave his impact on the game?
E.J. is somebody that we've been really, really excited about this whole entire offseason. The way he's changed his body. He's gotten healthy. He's built himself where he hopefully does stay healthy, and the command he's had at that linebacker spot. So we've been really excited about EJ and how he's coming along. And look, sometimes what a guy like that doesn't show up necessarily in statistics. It shows him getting everybody else aligned. When he has the mic in his helmet, and he's telling everybody, getting everybody the call. So we've really improved ourselves at the linebacker position. Over the last couple of years, EJ, Kyle, Kamen, Melvin, Tajay. Those guys have really done a nice job for us. But we've got to continue to get better.
Yeah. So you said that stats are not always indicative of the quality of a team's performance. In other words, some incongruity. Should we add that to the board of big words for the Brent Key Coaches Show that you love so much?
Yeah, I'm kind of tired tonight.
No, not feeling that one?
I don't know.
Okay.
That's a lot of brain power to process that.
You gave me credit.
Say it again.
Incongruity. Incongruous.
In not con.
With
not gruitous.
Shall we give you the etymological breakdown during the commercial break?
All right. Okay, you're smarter than me.
I'm just running up the score now.
Words.
I get it.
Pull an Excel sheet out here. This is math problems.
Look, I'm surrounded by engineering majors. I'm just the bum with the communications degree, so I got to get it in where I can fit it in.
That's not a bum.
I do what I can with it.
Hey, I rode the M train, baby.
Yeah, you did. I do know one thing about numbers. 24 is greater than 21. And that was the score on Saturday versus the Clemson
And that's
Tigers.
all that matters, right?
That is all that matters, yes. I know which way that arrow is pointing as Georgia Tech got the job done versus Clemson. Now on to try to make it 4-0 against Temple this Saturday, 2:30 airtime, 4:30. Toby Slather on the Georgia Tech Sports Network. Another timeout back with you here from New Realm Brewing on the east side Beltline of Atlanta is the Brent Key Coaches Show, driven by Hyundai on the Georgia Tech Sports Network. Now the Owls are coming to Atlanta. Georgia Tech versus Temple as the Yellow Jackets, number 18 in the nation, look to move to 4-0. And we'll do it with another great crowd on hand on the flats. 4:30, Toby Slather on Saturday. We've got a great crowd here tonight at New Realm Brewing for another edition of the Brent Key Coaches Show, driven by Hyundai. Temple, 2-1. They've got a brand new head coach in Casey Keeler. He's won everywhere he's gone, most recently at Sam Houston State. Your staff features a pair of lapsed Temple grads, Sean and Pat Boyle. They're brothers. If you're wondering who's that gigantic bearded man on the sidelines, why do I feel like he's everywhere? That's because there are two of them. Sean is your performance manager. Pat is your director of research and analytics. Can you explain Pat's role on your staff during the week and also his role on game day as that director of research and analytics?
Yeah, so the Boyle brothers, I mean, they are two of the smartest individuals I've ever been around. I mean, Sean works in the strength and conditioning, right, and does a lot of the performance aspects. But the big thing is he's basically the strength coach for the O-line. Right, both of them were O-linemen. Works with the O-line, has personal relationships with them, and just a great hand with those guys. And then Pat, everybody says, "Oh, that's the guy with the book." Well, Pat is so much more. Like on Mondays, we staff in the morning at 8 on Monday. Then me and Pat spend probably the next 4 hours together putting the overall game plan together. We look at the statistics, analytics, all the different things. We watch games together. Me and him put the practice schedules together. He is very involved in the sports science aspect of it, where he's able to say, okay, well, we did this on Tuesday. We've got to pull back a little bit here, or we've got to push a little bit more here. And all of it's in to be able to get our guys to play as fast as they can on Saturdays. Then during game day, we're constantly talking about timeouts. We're constantly talking about how to try to create more possessions. When you look at time of possession, you come in, okay, well, we've only gotten 4 possessions in the first half. Right, you're trying to predict how the second half's going to go. You only get points when you have the ball, right? So, it's a constant, chess game that we're playing with the opponent. And he is right there with me. I mean, he makes my job so much easier. And anybody in the corporate world understands this. Like, when you have somebody that can come in and tell you the truth, not be a yes man, right, and truly tell you what they believe and what they think, right, that is so valuable to anybody in a leadership position. And Pat has no problem walking in and saying, hey, yeah, maybe the way you handled this is a little bit out of line. Or, and I might say, well, screw you, like, I don't think it is. And he's like, all right, but that's my job to tell you. But most of the things he says, I really take a deep dive and look into it. And me and him, when you have that type of person, you've got to be lock and step with them. And it's not just analytics. Like, analytics those things are great. Tells you how to do all these different situations. Well, guess what? Analytics doesn't take into account once the ball's kicked off. So we call it more gutalytics. Mm-hmm. All right. We lean on it during the week and look at it, how we put the plan together. But we're going to go with gut instinct as well during the game.
So, for example, on that last drive, how much was Pat, like, in your ear communicating with you? Because he's got all the analytics and probabilities as you were moving downfield with time, down, distance, score, et cetera. Was he part of those conversations or no?
At that point, you throw analytics out the window.
You just are going for it.
That is based on where's the kick line. Mm-hmm. All right. We had 2 timeouts at that point. When to use the 2 timeouts. That's a big part of it, our timeouts.
Yeah. All right, we got to take another quick timeout. Want to get a little bit into the book to win there on Temple, and got a special giveaway as well for our fans here at New Realm Brewing as we close down another edition of the Brent Key Coaches Show, driven by Hyundai, right after this on the Georgia Tech Sports Network. Make sure to stick around for the good word. Chris Mooneyham and Justin Hanover immediately follow us. They'll continue the conversation over the next hour about Georgia Tech football, continuing to lead you to Toby's Leather at Bobby Dodd Stadium this Saturday. Georgia Tech versus the Temple Owls, 4:30. When we get it started, this Georgia Tech looks to go to 4-0 on the year. He's Brent Key. I'm Andy Demetra. Big thanks to all of you who made this another great atmosphere at New Round Brewing on the east side Beltline of Atlanta. I know we'll see you again on Saturday for Temple. And, Coach, the number that you gave at the press conference Tuesday, 77% of the Owls' plays involve a shift or a motion. Sounds very similar to your guys' offense. How does repping against Buster's offense every day in practice maybe help in your preparation for the type of offense you'll face on Saturday?
It creates discipline in what you do, but as far as the plays that are being run off of it, you can't predict that. But this is going to be a huge game with defensively, from a defensive standpoint, with our eye discipline to get aligned, right, and make sure our keys. And look, when people don't, to explain a little further what I'm saying, right, every player on the defense has certain things they're looking at, right, in order to be able to go react to what the offense does. Well, when there's a bunch of moving parts on the other side, and the better that a team fakes what they're doing, rolls over the ball, carries out their fake, the harder it is to see where that ball is. So, there's indicators we have, and everybody has to keep their eyes on it. But when there's all that stuff going on, it's like, imagine being here and not turn around and look at anybody else, and there's commotion and all that, and you're just focusing on one spot for an entire hour. I mean, that's hard to do. So that's going to be the key to the defense.
And you guys will be wearing your brand new gray uniforms on Saturday. That'll be exciting. You said you're not a fashionista, but you like the uniforms, A, because your players like them, B, because the recruits love them, and C, because it really reflects the values of Georgia Tech and your program. Explain why.
Yeah, well, it was a cool concept to come up with the different uniforms. But look, at the end of the day, as coaches, as coaches, like, we're not going to, we can learn and grow and all that, but you're not going to change how a player plays. All right, you can help aid them and give them the tools. Better players make you a better team. Recruiting, right? Recruits like those jerseys, so we're going to wear the jerseys. It's pretty simple, people. It's pretty simple. I want better players every single year to continue to increase our ability to win football games. I don't care what color it is. If a recruit says that they like it, let's go. All right, sorry, people. Hey, look, I understand. White and gold, that's our colors. We are white and gold. I'll wear whatever if it helps land recruits. But no, the story behind it is the way I talk about Georgia Tech. So many people think tech is short for technical, and it's not. It's short for technology. All right, this is the greatest piece of technology. There's probably not one person here that doesn't have one of these in their pockets, right? That's technology. It's the world we live in. It's the world we're moving to, right? And to go to a school that is wrapped around, and its base is technology. But look, here's the thing. You got old school Georgia Tech coming down the tracks, right? That old steam locomotive coming down, right? And it goes through the mountain, and on the other side pops out that speed of sound bullet train, right? That's the old Georgia Tech and the new Georgia Tech. But it's also the toughness and the physicality of how we play the game, and the precision of how you want to play with the speed.
Look good, feel good, play good, and Georgia Tech will look to check every box on Saturday, and we will see you there. That wraps up another edition of the Brent Key Coaches Show, driven by Hyundai. For those of you here at New Round Brewing, stick around. Brent's got 2 tickets to the Temple game that he's going to give away if you have not gotten yours already. Another reason why you should come and join us at New Round. We'll see you here next Thursday as well. Stick around for the good word coming up after us. He's Brent Key. I'm Andy Demetra. So long. Thanks for listening to the Brent Key Coaches Show.
Go Jackets. See y'all Saturday.